Thanks.
Welcome to Thunder Nerds. I'm Brian Hinton.
I'm Sarah Veslav.
And I'm Frederick Philip von Weiss. And thank you so much for consuming the Thunder Nerds, a conversation with the people behind the technology
that love what they do.
And do tech.
Good.
Some of the time. Pow!
You paused a little too long there. So
did I? We nailed that intro. Don't worry about it. Everything's all good. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the last show of season 4. It's the end of the year. It's the holidays. So thanks for joining us. And thanks again, Brian.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you to all our listeners. And if you came out and saw us at the conferences, it's awesome to see people in person. And if you're listening right now, it's probably because you're enjoying the show. And if you haven't subscribed to it and are listening, click that button, tap that button, and subscribe. And if you happen to be watching us on YouTube, there's a little bell icon that's to subscribe. Tap that, and you can actually be notified when we're live and watch us live and ask questions to our guests. And it's really great. But I think
live
Sarah
chat
has...
us.
Yes, Sarah?
Brian, it's really great.
I'm tired.
This intro is the best ever. This is the best ever. This is amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and take over the guest intro today.
Remember, roll those R's.
Not happening, but I'm going to welcome full stack developer, DevOps, Vue Vixens Community Organizer. This is a lot. Google developer expert in web technologies, and 3 more categories: Maps, Cloud, and Firebase, and speaker Diana Rodriguez. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Hello.
Say something.
Welcome, Diana.
Hello. It's good to be with you.
We're happy to have you.
Yeah, awesome that you're here.
So Diana, where are you joining us from? You're in the Raleigh, is that right? Raleigh, Durham?
I'm in Durham, yeah, North Carolina. It's a great place, and I had grilled chicken, veggies, and rice for breakfast with leftover gravy from Thanksgiving. So welcome to the South, the land where you can eat whatever you want for breakfast, and where the best fried chicken and waffles are made, and awesome barbecue.
Okay. I love that.
So, I think
I want that for breakfast. I had a hamburger for breakfast the other day. It was delicious.
I had a hamburger too. I actually I bought this Burger King. It was a bacon King or something, and I forgot to eat it, and I was I fell asleep, and it was on my bed.
Get to eat it.
Yeah, because I was so tired. You imagine that? I was so tired. I actually forgot to eat, and it was a pain to get up and go and store it somewhere safe. So it rested with me on my bed, and then when I woke up, I was like, "Oh, burger!" So I just went at it,
That's a happy surprise. Hey, have you tried that one burger at Burger King, that Beyond Beef or whatever the fake beef is?
The Impossible Burger? Yeah.
Impossible Burger. I loved it. I tried it. I liked it a lot.
I loved it too. And you know what? It even has like the bloody bits. If you don't cook it all the way, it actually puts like the little drops of blood that it's supposed a normal beef burger would. But yeah, I like it. I eat everything, so I'm omnivorous.
Same. I like that the psychology is that they want to make food so everything you want to eat bleeds, and that makes it delicious. I want a donut from Dunkin' Donuts, but I want it to bleed. That's even better.
Awesome.
Oh.
I paid for that. I paid for a bleeding
donut, I guess.
Me too. I would definitely try that. Bleeding donut? Sure, sign me up. I'll try anything once.
The Impossible Donut. There you go.
Period donut.
Delicious. Heck yeah. I'd be all about that donut.
Sorry, that was awful.
That's all right. Hey, we've all been there before. Hand up. Hey, so talking about things that are, things that we're not talking about, why don't we go into your...
Great segue.
Why don't we go into what you do and a little bit about your day today? So you are a chief DevOps architect. What be that?
It's a fancy title for a bit of a jack of all trades when it comes to DevOps. At least where I work, I work at a company called VoiceThread. It was founded in Florida, but it's based in Durham. And we have a lot of remote people also on site. I think we're like 13 people on site. So I'm responsible for the infrastructure side of everything, improving processes and automation. So my job there is to make stuff happen, to get to the edge. No, actually, I do a lot of automation. Basically, we migrated our whole infrastructure from a very cryptic tool, which is useful, but whatever suits you best. We migrated from AWS CloudFormation to Terraform, and we use Ansible for building our images. And we have a lot of complicated bits and pieces that require like special attention, and it's a complicated job. It's easy at the same time. I don't know, I love it. It's cathartic for me, and I don't think anyone who's ever been in the infrastructure business that is not from the infrastructure side of things would say that infrastructure is peaceful and cathartic. But I like the pressure, I like the challenges, I like the forensic side of everything. And you just have to be ready to rescue things, when shite hits the fan. You just have to be ready to do something. So I feel like the EMT of the infrastructure side.
Yeah,
It
you
sounds
definitely
like it.
are.
How did you get started with that? I'm just curious.
Well, so both of my parents were really nerdy. I remember my mom used to work for a company that sold computers in the 80s. So I remember she brought this Commodore 64 when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and she didn't bring the tape recorder because it was just for testing purposes. So I had to type down the game straight from magazines. And once, we turned it off, the game was gone. So eventually I ended up learning the whole game, like memorizing it. This is basic, and that's a lot to memorize. And I started tweaking things, changing colors. And it got exciting. Then with Windows 95, things got even better. I used to run a website that basically gave away HTML templates for free. Then I got into JavaScript. Then I hated it. And then in like 98, we all went through that phase, right? Then in 98, I started getting more interested in, infrastructure, like assembling racks, having my own servers, tinkering with actual physical hardware and crimping cables, which is not an easy thing to do. And I don't know, I just like that side. I think I am much better at back end as well. I started with Java and Python, and I just love being that silent bass player, that keeps the band alive, but there's no like major performance or like an amazing solo or like sealing the show. Like the bass player has to be the heart of everything, and it has to combine forces with percussion, with the harmonic part of the band. So I like being behind the scenes rather than, doing front end. And I don't know, I can do front end. Obviously, I do Vue.js, I do Gatsby, and I now I've done React. But my heart is with the operation side of the business. And now, oh my goodness, I get so excited when I start talking about this. Now I feel like I'm on this duty to foster the DevOps culture as, you know, a collaboration culture, like make it definitely something approachable to all sectors of the ecosystem. You know, say, yo, you don't have to change your specialty, but this is knowledge that won't hurt you, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
What do you
It's
say to
interesting you
people-
bring up the. Oh,
Okay, no, you.
sorry. It's your turn, Frederick. Now I'm talking over you in this episode. It's all over.
I did raise my hand.
I never look at that. When I'm not looking. I was just saying it was interesting that you mentioned the whole music aspect. One, I noticed all the musical instruments in the background, but two, Brad Frost actually recently tweeted out and was asking, you know, how many people here are developers and are into music. And it's something I've noticed myself with people that I've worked with. Like there's this musical ability that I have none of, by the way, like none. I love music, but I can't read note. I can't even tap my foot to a beat. So like, I don't have any of that. Probably why I fall more into the design side, but I just thought it was really interesting you brought that up.
It's been a long running like joke on kind of on the show, how every designer and developer we've interviewed started out in music, and those are servers behind her. Those aren't guitars. Those are servers.
Yeah, it's definitely been a motif. Like at least I would say.
She's actually.
Oh, we had her.
So yeah, these are some
great.
guitars and some amps. And...
I'm like, really?
Their servers shaped like guitars. But yeah, like 70% of the people we probably talked to all had their start in music.
Oh, I studied music. I am a double bassist. I studied in a conservatory, and I was part of the system of youth orchestras, or known as El Sistema, from Caracas, Venezuela. And yeah, I played in a few interesting orchestras. I'm a double bassist. I play a little bit of everything.
So cool.
And I like to sing. Yeah.
Nice. All right, Frederick, I'm done.
I know. I wanted to ask you, what would you say to people that are new to the industry, that might be, you know, a second career dev, that go, you know what, DevOps sounds like something I would be interested in because I like that side of the house. That's something that I really want to get into. Where would you say they should start? What should they be looking at?
They should start probably. I think it's good to have a good knowledge of scripting. I'd say Bash, Python would be ideal, but just a little bit. I mean, to be honest with you, there's nothing that can't be learned. And with DevOps, it's a lot of learning on the job. There's no real curriculum now. As a matter of fact, I was looking for sort of DevOps camps, and there's really no consistency on the tools you should know. Oh, you see her?
Yeah, I'm loving the cats. I keep seeing, and for our audio listeners, that we keep seeing a cat's tail go back and forth behind Diana, and it's been great.
Yeah, we just saw the full cat, so you got to go back and watch the video. It's the cutest little cat.
She's amazing. Her name is Mara. She's 7 years old. But yeah, I mean, a bit of scripting would be good. Bash and Python are very useful. Any programming language, just so you know, to have some principle, because you'll learn a lot of things on the job.
Sure.
Have a good understanding of how processes work. And I don't know. I don't think it's something that is too hard, to be honest with you. If you're organized and you can deal with stress, then DevOps is for you.
Nice.
I don't really think. Sarah.
Well, why don't we jump into our main topic? Sarah, why don't you introduce it? You've done the research on this.
Yeah. So this, it's interesting. I think we didn't plan. Did we plan on doing another show this year, or I can't remember.
No, that's it for this year.
Yeah. So I like, we were pretty much done, but I saw your post on Twitter, Diana, about your struggle with your health issues and paying for your health issues. And it really resonated with me because I suffer from chronic migraine disease, and paying for my medication is really difficult. Kind of balancing work and life and chronic illness is just, it's a slog. And I was like, this is something I'd really like to talk about with somebody and kind of highlight and bring out of just a Twitter thread into kind of a broader conversation. So for me, it was huge, and really exciting. And I immediately was like, Frederick, I think we need to pull her into a show about this. So I just wanted to really just talk about kind of what your experience has been, what it's like to live with a chronic illness, and then kind of what are the, financial, emotional, personal ramifications of this. So I guess talk to us about kind of what you've been going through, like for those that haven't read that piece and haven't really been following it, kind of what have you been facing?
Well, I am a lymphoma patient, but the worst of this happened when I was living in Argentina, and I had the privilege of being in a country that has public health. With all its flaws, public health is accessible. It was worth my taxes in Argentina. So, I went through chemo, the worst part of my chemo in Argentina, and it was a blessing because I didn't have to pay for anything. I was given all the medication I needed. I had to deal with thyroid issues afterwards as a result of that, and I was given everything I needed. I didn't have to pay, and I had the choice to go private if I wanted to, without any limitations on enrollment periods or anything. And I think it happens in every other country in the world, which was a different thing here, and very difficult to digest the whole bureaucracy and how things work and how people think this is normal. So the first thing that it's
And by here she means US now.
Yeah, US, exactly.
Yeah.
So what happened was, and this is how I was diagnosed. I had to go for some testing, and things happen. My doctor is like, "Oh, you should get checked just in case." And I ended up being diabetic. My sugars were over the roof, and suddenly things changed because I didn't have insurance. I don't have insurance for the rest of a year. I've been in the United States for over a year, and I've never had insurance. I had no idea about the process. And well, there are other things I could talk about that will frustrate everyone and trigger me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I had no insurance, so I had to do a lot of self-pay. Then when the first prescription came that I had to buy insulin, I had to buy supplies. I'm like, goodness gracious. So this is like $12,000 out of medical supplies that I have to buy and come up with, from where? Like, I'm not going to birth money, and making the calculations, the cost for me to survive. I mean, only insulin is $2,500 a month. My costs rake up to $5,000 per month to be able to survive, and taking that, I mean, if we're in the IT industry, we're in the development ecosystem, we are privileged. Our salaries are something, like the average person doesn't make what an apprentice or a super junior person makes, at first, So me being in that privileged position and struggling financially, I mean, that means, okay, this is wrong. So there was that. There's the fact that I had to adapt to a new way of life, being mindful about what I ate, dealing with the consequences of being high or low with blood sugars. Lows are horrible. You can die. Highs are bad. You can die as well. So having the power to basically kill myself by accident is a burden that is not easy to process. And in general, having to live with a condition that is, any chronic condition is a disability. It can impair your performance, your judgment. I mean, we have good days and bad days. But with a chronic disease, there's never like stability to say, oh no, I've been fine for 1 year. It's always like, no, I've been fine this week, and then the next week something happens, and then you never know. It's just this random game, and you kind of have to go with the flow and pace yourself and take every day as it comes and make the most out of it. I had to take some time off conferences and writing tutorials and the whole public speaking and being out there, because I started passing out randomly at events, or just not feeling well, not being able to see anyone for a couple of days. So sometimes it's hard to stop, and it's hard to accept that you have to stop. It's hard to deal with that, especially, I don't know, in my case, I like being out there. I love mentoring. I love working with a community. I've been doing this for 15 years now, not looking for any praise or anything. There's no personal gain other than the satisfaction of making a difference and helping people reach their goals or learn something new, or I learn a lot from people. But yeah, the emotional toll of a chronic disease is obviously huge. I think it's important that we all know that being supportive and being understanding and refraining from smart ass comments and unsolicited advice is the best thing we can do. No, for real. I've heard things like, oh,
I know. I'm just
the good-"
laughing.
Yeah, it's like, you've got the good kind of diabetes, and I'd be like,
there's no good kind of diabetes.
well, and I'm sure people have comments on your diet, and if you don't eat this or don't eat that. Yeah, I get
everybody
that.
has
So I have
don't eat tomatoes and you'll be fine. I mean, come on.
Someone said, but essential oils cure cancer and diabetes.
Jesus.
So if you buy this, you can get.
What about CBD?
Are you having enough zinc in your diet?
Yeah, or be like, but maybe because did you eat a lot of sugar when you were a kid?
Oh boy.
Maybe that's the reason why you have diabetes, because you eat a lot.
Yeah,
that's an interesting point you bring up, because a lot of people associate diabetes with age or with diet, I'm going to worry about this when I get into my 60s, or I'm going to watch what I eat when I turn 55, or like you said, I don't eat a lot of sugar. But a lot of times these things just kind of jump up at us anywhere within our lifetime. I think I saw some statistic that it was like 1 in 2 adults have some kind of chronic illness, whatever that may be, within just the United States. That's a high number.
Yeah, well, type 1, which is the one in my case, or even for those who have LADA, that's autoimmune. There's no external factor. It just happens because your body just stops producing insulin. I am the owner of a useless pancreas.
Useless pancreas.
Yeah.
Great band name.
Yeah. Useless pancreas.
That would be a great band.
Is it goth?
But yeah, there's that, and I mean, chronic diseases are not always the result of stupidity. Things just happen. My advice, or I don't know, I think people should just stop and educate themselves a little bit and stop making assumptions, and instead of asking stupid questions, just being there. Sometimes not saying anything but being there is the best thing you can do. There is something that has to happen eventually about the health system, but this is not my place to say anything. I'm not a citizen of this country, and I don't really have an opinion on politics. But if you ask me, I think bidets are going to be mandatory in all households before anything happens with the health system in the United States, which is really sad.
Yeah, yeah. To what you said about stupidity. I mean, even if a person like did something when they're younger or that caused it, why does it even matter? Like they're still suffering with the illness. Like doesn't matter their journey or whatever they did. Like don't there's no need to criticize someone who's suffering and dealing with the illness about how they got it. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I was surprised the cost too that I asked around. Some friends of mine have a similar equipment that you have, and they have insurance, and they're paying $1,400 a month
Yeah.
with insurance.
Well, it was a difficult thing to do when I wrote that post, but I was sinking in a lot of money in debt and not being able to even afford basic things like housing or just buying groceries, and I also
Food,
support
yeah. Yeah.
And you also
people
take
in
care of your
Venezuela.
family too, right?
Yeah, they're in Venezuela, which is going through a lot right now, and that's a whole different subject. But and then sometimes you just have to say you need help, and even now, like at this point, I think my debt goes up to $25,000 as of today, and I still have to rake to think of what's going to happen after January. Hopefully some insurance will kick in, but I will still have to put through again around $10,000 just to make sure I have the basic needs cover for my treatment. And it is sad. It is sad because I don't wish anyone to be in this situation. I've been very lucky to be able to find good support from the community, not entirely like monetary, but just having people who are there, people who I can talk to. Also the diabetic community, we have organized ourselves. Obviously I came in much later than after a lot of things were organized, like the Reddit diabetes community has a Discord channel, which is amazing. A lot of nice people who provide advice and talk about their own experiences. Then there's the open source initiatives like Night Scout, like Loop, like Tidepool, Open API, APS, Android APS, and tools to monitor and improve your quality of life as a diabetic. And all of this is open source. So I started working on a fork of Night Scout that will have some upgraded features, and I'm using Vue.js, and it's just my contribution. If there's any code issue that I can tackle in or test something, I know that the people from Night Scout are always pinging or throwing out bounties to resolve issues like the Dexcom outage, where people couldn't follow their relatives because their servers were down, and there was no communication from Dexcom whatsoever. It was more like a low priority issue, and like, yeah, I mean, your monitors work okay, but we're gonna resolve this issue, and I don't know, whenever we resolve it. And it's cool to know that we have tools that can help us follow our relatives or be followed, and not entirely depending on big pharmaceutical companies or corporations. And I'm not saying this from the anarchist point of view, but more to the hashtag we are not waiting, because this is a thing that can't wait. We can't wait for cheaper insulin, and that's probably, I don't know what's going to happen about that, but we can try to find ways to support ourselves to help others. I'm definitely sure once I am in a position where I can definitely put a financial contribution to these initiatives, that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to give back and keep that circle going, because a lot of people need it inside and outside the tech industry. And you'd be surprised, there's Scott Hanselman, there's my friend Sarah, geeky girl, who else is diabetic? Oh, Sulka Hero from Finland, the guy who works at Night Scout. So many of us out there, you never know who's struggling. There's people in the industry with cystic fibrosis, with the cyclic vomit syndrome, which is one of the most horrendous things I've ever heard, in general, chronic diseases. And here we are. So I think now that we have the chance and special talents to do something, then we can use our talents to make a difference, and support open source work for the betterment of the people. After all, we are users, we are consumers, and we also have the power to make something happen, for sure.
Love that. Absolutely. But, I wanted to ask you, what do you have some advice for people that might have recently been diagnosed with this? Like some, hey, I've went through this, I got it. Here's some good resources, or here's some good tips. Here's some ideas to help you with, like, I've been through the headache. Let me tell you what to do.
Definitely. I can only speak for diabetes.
Yeah.
Well, I can speak for cancer too, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. For diabetes, either type 1, type 2, type 3, type 1.5, whatever you need, check out the Night Scout Foundation.org. Check out Tidepool as well. And there's a bunch of us on Twitter who are always willing to lend a hand. If you contact me on Twitter, I'll give you a list of resources. I'm definitely offering myself to help out those who want to set up their Night Scout dashboards, who want to know what Xstrip and OpenAPIs or Android APIs are. And of course, the Reddit Diabetes community on Discord. There are lots of us, and we're ready to help.
I love that. There's so many people out there that have some kind of issue that you just can't see. It's not something that's like written on your sleeve. And then we have people that were just judgy about, oh well, that person, they're always late, blah blah blah. But they're quick to judge, but not really like think about like, well, there could be something there. What do you think that comes from with some people, and how do we address that?
Well, I think it's difficult. I wear it on my sleeve pretty much. I went rogue. This is not FDA approved, but I get really good readings. I'd say we have to really treat this as an inclusion, diversity and inclusion issue. It's not about people being different or I don't know, us not being welcoming enough or inclusive enough as a community, that people who are struggling feel like they can't even talk about these things without being judged or mocked, or ridiculed, or just no one gives a toss about their problems. That's not how it works. We're all human beings. I think the best advice, whatever thou art, act well thy part, and be kind. You never know who's struggling. You never know who needs to talk. It only takes one person to start making a difference. We can be that person.
Yeah, well said. I think we're definitely on our way. Things are changing for the better. It's been on an upward slope, depending on how you look at it. Not gonna get into politics, obviously, but yeah. So, anybody else have anything else on this point that we want to talk about, or you want to move to something else?
No, let's move to something else. I really appreciate you coming in and talking about it, Diana, because it's like I said, I have chronic migraines, and I hear, oh, it's just a headache. Have you ever tried aspirin? Have you tried Botox? Like, yeah, like people ask me the dumbest things, and I'm like, I've had this disease since I was 7 years old. I'm 42. I got this. Thanks. Like, I don't need you to armchair physician me, and it can be really frustrating. And it's not something I share with a lot of people because people tend to judge. and oh, it's just a headache, or it can't be that bad, or those kinds of things. And it affects you in a lot of ways that people don't see beyond just the symptoms of the illness. So I think it's really important to kind of, as much as I like to try to hide it, I think it is more important to talk about it and bring it up in the open and make others that suffer feel like, hey, this is okay. So I really appreciate you talking about it.
Totally.
Yeah, I love how you.
No,
go ahead, please.
No, I was gonna say that there should be no reason for just not being yourself, with and without, with your flaws. With if you have a chronic disease, there shouldn't be a reason to hide, or we all limp from different legs, whether if it's a chronic disease, mental illness, insecurities, issues, problems, we all have our weak spots. Yeah. So there's no finger pointing, that that's just passé, it's not what we should be doing. It's almost 2020. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine what it is to have migraines like that. But well, if it helps, yeah. I'm always sending good vibes.
Yeah,
I'll take good vibes any day.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine somebody like judging you to say like, oh, you just have a headache. Have you tried some Advil? Like, and just what is someone trying to accomplish with that? Yeah. And again, it goes back to the judging. It's just.
Actually, sadly, I think a lot of people don't know what to say. And they it's almost like an automatic reaction. It's almost like, you ever notice if someone dies and you, it's related, but it's different. But someone dies, yeah. And the first thing people will say is, I just saw them yesterday. Like, it's impossible that they're dead because I just saw them yesterday. Like, that doesn't make any sense, but people don't know what else to say, right? So when you say, I have this chronic illness, I've been vomiting for 3 days with this migraine, they're like, and they want to help, they want to do something. So they grasp for even the most, minute thing, which is, have you tried Botox? I heard about that on TV, and things like that. And I'm like, yeah, I've seen a neurologist for 20 years and been through it, but I try to remember that they're trying to be helpful.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. To be fair to a lot of people simply, they're like, oh my God, can I help you in any way? Here's some ideas I have. Exactly. These will solve your problem.
Exactly. Yeah, you might have heard them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just imagine if everyone you meet says that. After a while, it's no longer helpful. It's just like, God, can I just, well, can I tell someone and have them just go, man, that sucks. Done. Like, thank you. I agree. Mm-hmm. It sucks. Now let's move on. Because what else are you going to do? Like, I really just want to move on. I don't want to think about it. I want to do my best, and having to constantly say, I tried this, and yes, I tried that, and no, that doesn't work. And, as polite as they're trying to be, it's a lot of emotional labor on my part to kind of answer that and have to go through that. I'm sure, Diana, you experienced the same with talking to people about diabetes.
I mean, it just gets old. So now it depends. If I went over my limit, I just wave and walk back,
Love that.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Clock it out.
I've had enough of this conversation. See you later. But so community work, you switching gears, you were talking a lot about the community work that you're doing, obviously to help others with the same illness. But I mean, I know you originally from meeting you at Vue, and I think for like this whole year, in the beginning of the year, every conference we were at, like we were both speaking, I was like, this is so weird.
That's true.
But yeah, it's true. Like, we were in Tampa together, and then we were in San Francisco together, and it was just like so strange. And then Atlanta, and we were in Atlanta together. So I'd like to talk more about that, Vue Vixens, Women Tech Makers, all the stuff that you do.
So, like I said, I love mentoring. I love helping people. I think, being a Google developers expert, in all these categories, it's not just like a big name and some status, and some perks. It's basically the opportunity to reach out to more audiences and do something meaningful. And I know for a fact that there's nothing that can't be learned. there's nothing that can't be achieved, and having the chance to give people the opportunity to learn something new or to connect with people and resources that could help them improve their job situation, or gain a little bit more knowledge, and the things I can do. I'm not the oracle, obviously. I've been doing this for 20 years and I feel like every day I learn something new, and at least I'm proficient enough to know when I fuck up and own it. That's what 20 years
Yeah.
of experience in this field has taught me. So with Vue Vixens, we're doing an amazing job. I am so grateful to work with one of my best friends, Jen Lupa. We bonded since day one. My job is to be the worldwide community organizer and to make sure that our chapter leaders have everything they need to run their chapters, but also like found new communities, and work on that side. What is the best approach to make Vue Vixens help in the local ecosystem, despite your cultural circumstances. What we want to do is send a message that it's not like we are social justice workers. And I think this is in general for my advocacy with diversity and inclusion. It's not like we're here to replace anyone. It's not like, yeah, I came with, garden scissors and I'm going to chop willies because women are going to rule the world. This is not how it's not how it works. We're basically looking to work shoulder to shoulder with the community to help a sector of the society that has been underrepresented and marginalized for years. Like people, when I started my first job, assembling racks, the fella saw I was there to bring them their tools and coffee. And I said, no, you brought yourselves already. Like, what are you on about, So.
And it sounded so polite in that accent too. Probably.
Yeah, everything sounds better with the British accent, right?
It really does.
But yeah, like we're here to change that, but we need the help from all sectors of this ecosystem. So obviously, if we isolate it to women and those who identify as such, it's not that we're excluding men because men suck. It's more like it's simple. Imagine you injure your leg and you need crutches. So you need the support of the rest of your body except for that leg, right? You can't put any weight on that leg. And we're basically being that crutch to strengthen all these people so they can be inserted in the global ecosystem with confidence. And that's what we want to do. But in order to be able to, to do that, we need everyone's help. It's the same with women tech makers. We just want to help people achieve a better status, in life, in knowledge, to, we're here to uplift ourselves, to be a good influence, if that makes any sense, to empower people. Of course, there's so much I can do. There's only so much I can do. There's only so much we can do as organizations, but the little or much we do it with all our hearts. None of us get any monetary compensation for doing any of this. Like, it's not my job to be out there in conferences speaking and in events. I do this because I love doing it, because I like being out there with the community. And all the sponsorships we get for Vue Vixens go straight into chapters, into communities, into scholarships, into grants to help these women and those who identify as such to have access to things and resources that they wouldn't normally have access to. Again, the same thing with being a GDE in all these categories. It's not like I am the smartest person in the world, because I'm not. But I'm using all my strengths and all the knowledge I have to benefit others. And for me, the most amazing experience is to see people progressing, and then, I don't know, meet them a few years later and see them thriving in their jobs. There's no better game than that.
Yeah, that must be so rewarding.
Yeah, I love it. I like talking to people. I am a person full of jokes, most of the time very inappropriate jokes, but now people know I am harmless. I'm like
reference that donut joke at the beginning.
Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. Please see donut joke. If there's
out of context, that sounds so bad. Okay, go ahead. Moving on.
If there's
Jesus.
Is there a DevOps version of Vue Vixens at all out there anywhere? Because I feel like women are very underrepresented in DevOps, which is sad.
There is, if I'm not wrong, there is an organization in Australia called DevOps Girls. I am working on a project that you probably saw. I was rallying for selling some stickers at first. It's called DevOps Girls, and it's an introductory course and a list, like a glossary on DevOps, SRE, and automation, infrastructure, that sort of realm. It's gonna come up next year. I had to delay it, due to health issues. But I'm just gonna give away all the knowledge I have and some resources to get started in this field. And because it's going to be an open source project, obviously, contributions from everyone are welcomed. But yeah, I kind of posted, if I can ask for some good vibes and prayers or mantras or things for tomorrow, I'm gonna have a very hardcore medical test that will define the course of things. So hopefully things should be okay, and I feel okay.
What kind of test?
A complicated one.
It might be personal, Frederick, if you don't want to talk about it.
I'm sorry. I didn't think about that. I just, sorry. I was thinking about the diabetes, and I was thinking it was something like that.
No, it's probably about it. No, you can come and sit with me here at the edge of the boundary if you. I'm joking. But no, it's a lot of imaging, like a couple of CTs and a PET scan to make sure that I don't have something messing with my pancreas. So yeah, I was gonna wear a IKEA t-shirt, but I'm looking for my town. Yeah, man, IKEA.
Oh man. I hope everything goes well tomorrow with the test. I'll be thinking about you for sure.
Absolutely.
So we're getting close to the end. We have about 10 minutes left, 12 minutes left. So one other thing I did want to touch on is that in your spare time, when you're not doing all this unbelievable community work and just giving back so much, you do some other fun stuff. So you like to play video games, you're into sports, taekwondo, really? Like, I feel like you could kick my ass or something.
Yes!
I need to hear more about this.
Just like, yes, I could.
Can we see a kata? I want to see a kata. Go for it.
Oh, that'd be grand if I wasn't plugged to all these wires.
Yeah,
but
come on, Fred.
I do some pole dancing.
I didn't see the wires. Come on.
So inconsiderate. Swear.
Gosh, you guys.
Next time I'll do pole dancing, live.
Oh, nice.
You imagine that?
Brian did that once on the show.
I did.
It was really awkward. Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, Frederick clapped like the whole time. It was really weird.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I'm a black belt. I do it. I started doing it when I was a teenager, and it was just cathartic. I do taekwondo. I haven't trained in a little while. I also did rugby, and that's one of my favorite sports. I'm a third row, so my specialty is to tackle. I'm honoring the heights
Right.
and the weights, you know, of
Mhm.
Them
You got
guns.
guns. Yeah.
yeah. Oh wait, you know, when I lived in Thailand, I remember I had a meeting with a client that I was going to see for something about a script that wasn't working, and he asked me to go to this hotel, and I got there, and this tiny Thai lady says, "Come this way," and holds my hand, and I'm like, wow, this is like amazing service, 5-star. Then she leads me to this ballroom full of people. There's like a buffet, like a party. Someone gave me like a garland with a gift basket, and like someone wanted to take a picture with me, and I'm like, who the hell do they think they're talking to? And then I look to my side and I see a banner that says, "Welcome the All Blacks female rugby team from New Zealand." They thought it was
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Did you correct them or did you take pictures with everybody? Were you like,
she played. What are you talking about?
I actually I well, I can say this because it was like 10 years ago. So I ran off with the basket with the gifts and called the client and
Nice.
said, "Let's meet up." Next, like a few blocks away, there's a cafe. I feel more comfortable there. So yeah, I left with all the trinkets. You know, they weren't going to give me all that shame for free. You know.
I love that.
This
Well, why don't we talk about the
so-
video games? What video game are you into?
Oh, okay. So I'm addicted to the Untitled Goose Game. I have to.
Oh yeah, it does look good.
I like Zelda. I played a lot of N64 games, so I know old school. I have well, the love of my life has always been World of Warcraft. I have the coolest Pandarian, and I also have a gnome that is all green and it's called Broccoli. And
Nice.
Diablo just came out, so I'm waiting to put my hands on it.
Yeah, that looks good.
Someone said they were going to gift it for Christmas, so I'm going to take that offer seriously, you know, because games are a thing. But yeah, I'm an old school gamer, so anything from Commodore 64 until the latest is good for me. Now, my most favorite game is Ocarina of Time, Zelda, for N64.
It's
Yeah.
so good.
That's
It is
good.
so good. That ending was perfect too.
Definitely. I also like playing board games, like role games. Treasure Island. It's a very simple game, but really cool. And at Ansible Fest, I was really honored to play with all the people from Red Hat. They sit in different groups and just play. They also play Dungeons and Dragons, and I was flabbergasted. So if you have a deck of cards and you want to play and you see me somewhere, please, yank me out. I love it.
Well, if you like board games, there's a place that I could send you to. It's actually a board game cafe. It's located in Florida. Sarah, do you know where it is?
I think
it's
do,
your
yeah.
turn to talk about it.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know this, Dinah, but I'm opening up a board game cafe here in Zephyr Hills. Mm-hmm. See, I have so the story is, well, first of all, like all these board games, like there's a whole wall of board games.
Oh my gosh.
You don't even want to see the bedroom. It's horrible. Like my husband is a hoarder and it's all board games. But I basically, he collected so many that I told him we had two choices. One is to downsize the collection or open up a board game cafe, which selfishly is what I wanted him to do because our internet sucks. And I thought I could work there all day, do my tech job, and then like at night we could do classes and all kinds of stuff. So we're opening hopefully in January. Every single month I'm like, next month we'll be open, but I think January for sure because we're really close.
Yeah, if you need a musician to play for your opening, I'll be there, and even if you
need to come.
I'll be there. I want to, man.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Sorry, the serendipity is too perfect because it's funny you mentioned that since we talked about at the beginning of the show that you were going to play at the end and you have your guitars behind you. So the stage is yours, Diana.
Oh, can do it. Yeah, bear
Yeah,
with me. I'm
awesome.
gonna get the guitar.
All right, sweet.
Of course, I take it there. Seriously.
Man, I would have been like, no way, and I would have just shut the computer and
Way.
left. She's a much better sport.
Well, you don't play guitar, so that doesn't equate for you, Sarah.
No, I'd be embarrassed and run away screaming.
Why?
Crying.
Can you hear that?
I would.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Oh my God. That might be my favorite ending this whole year of one of our shows. I love it. You definitely need to come play at my cafe. I will pay you. Absolutely. And you can stay in my house for free if you don't mind 10,000 animals. So free room and board.
Let's do it. You don't have to pay me. I'll go.
That's awesome. Well, Diane, I think one of the things we should definitely do is communicate the locations where people could help you out. You put on your article, there's some spots where people could go and donate. There's the PayPal and something else. Do you mind telling people where they could go for that?
Sure, definitely. If you want to check my website, it's superdiet.dev. I have a blog on dev, dev.to /Cotufa82. That means popcorn in Venezuelan slang. My PayPal is paypal.me/Cotufa82. And it's the same with co/fi.com, like Kofi, but with a K, /Cotufa82, which is my Twitter handle. It's COTUFA, number 8 and number 2. Yours truly.
Love it. Yeah, and we'll have links to all that in the show notes too. Diana, we're at the end. Do you have any final words that you'd like to bestow upon the audience?
Definitely. Ladies, deodorant is more important than makeup. Men, deodorant is more important than anything. Cheers.
Well said.
Did you get that, Brian?
Oh, yep.
No, actually, be kind. That's all it takes. Be kind.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's excellent. Anyone else?
No. Thank you, Diana, for coming on and doing this and capping off our awesome year.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. I wish people could see what was happening before the show. It was amazing. I mean,
Oh God.
We had some fun.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Diana. I also want to say thank you. Really appreciate you sharing your story and spending some time with us.
Yeah.
Super appreciate it. All right. Well, hey, everyone. That is it for season 4. So we'll see you in February. Is that right, guys? February?
Sounds right. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
we'll see you in February. Take care and have a happy new year. Happy holidays.